Welcome to the most haunting and mysterious tale of disappearances in America's national parks, where the great outdoors turns into a nightmare for hikers, campers, and explorers alike. In this video, we'll delve into 10 baffling cases that have left park rangers stumped and sparked widespread investigations. But what they won't tell you is that many of these incidents share eerie similarities, hinting at an unknown force lurking beneath the surface. Take, for example, the case of Kristopher Eg, a 21-year-old park ranger who vanished in Grand Canyon National Park on July 23, 2005. Despite an extensive search effort involving helicopters and search parties, no signs of Kristopher were ever found. The investigation concluded that he might have been swept away by flash flooding, but his family disputes this theory, citing inconsistencies in the official narrative. Kristopher's disappearance highlights the dark side of America's treasured national parks. These vast natural wonders are meant to inspire awe and wonder, not fear. Yet, over the years, numerous visitors have vanished under inexplicable circumstances, leaving behind only unanswered questions and haunting memories. Today, we'll explore 10 such incidents that will challenge everything you thought you knew about these supposedly safe havens. Section 1: The Disappearance of Kristopher Eg, Grand Canyon National Park. As we've already mentioned, Kristopher Eg disappeared on July 23, 2005, while on duty in Grand Canyon National Park. His disappearance remains one of the most bizarre incidents in park history. In fact, it was later revealed that a fellow ranger had reported seeing Kristopher arguing with an unknown individual earlier that day. Although this detail was initially overlooked by investigators, it has raised more questions than answers. Intriguingly, around the same time as Kristopher's disappearance, several other park visitors reported encountering mysterious individuals who seemed to be lurking in the shadows. These eyewitness accounts paint a chilling picture of an unseen force operating within the park's boundaries. We'll explore these connections further throughout this video. Section 2: The Disappearance of Maura Murray, White Mountain National Forest. On February 9, 2004, 21-year-old nursing student Maura Murray disappeared after driving into White Mountain National Forest in New Hampshire. Her car was found abandoned several miles from the main road, but no signs of Maura were ever discovered. What makes this case even more puzzling is that Maura had been struggling with mental health issues and financial problems before her disappearance. However, many experts believe she might have been trying to escape these pressures by embarking on a solo hike in the woods. Yet, despite extensive searches and tips from the public, Maura's fate remains unknown. Section 3: The Disappearance of Dennis Martin, Great Smoky Mountains National Park. In June 1969, 5-year-old Dennis Martin disappeared during a family camping trip to Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Despite an enormous search effort involving hundreds of volunteers and park rangers, no signs of the young boy were ever found. This case has become one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in American history. Years later, investigators discovered that several eyewitnesses had reported seeing a small child matching Dennis's description being led away from the campsite by an adult. This new evidence rekindled hope for the Martin family but only raised more questions about what might have happened to their young son. Section 4: The Disappearance of Suzanne Morphew, Rocky Mountain National Park. On June 13, 2020, 49-year-old Suzanne Morphew disappeared while on a solo bike ride in Rocky Mountain National Park. Her husband reported her missing after she failed to return home that evening. A massive search effort ensued, involving helicopters and ground teams. However, despite finding several of Suzanne's personal belongings, including her phone and identification, no signs of the woman were ever discovered. This case highlights the park's vast terrain and unpredictable weather conditions but also raises questions about potential human involvement in Suzanne's disappearance. Section 5: The Disappearance of Timothy Polari, Mount Rainier National Park. On October 31, 1982, 21-year-old Timothy Polari disappeared during a solo climb on Mount Rainier. His body was later discovered several weeks after his disappearance, but the investigation concluded that he might have died from exposure and altitude sickness. However, many experts believe Timothy's death might be linked to an incident involving another climber who reported seeing a figure matching Timothy's description falling from the mountain. While this new information has shed some light on Timothy's disappearance, it also underscores the park's treacherous terrain and unpredictable weather conditions. Section 6: The disappearance of John Darwin, Yosemite National Park. On January 1, 1993, 31-year-old John Darwin disappeared during a solo hike in Yosemite National Park. His body was later discovered several days after his disappearance, but the investigation concluded that he might have died from exposure and hypothermia. What's intriguing about this case is that another hiker reported seeing John arguing with an unknown individual earlier that day. This incident has led some investigators to speculate that John's death might be linked to a larger mystery involving human involvement in the park. Section 7: The disappearance of Christina Gagliardi, Zion National Park. On August 9, 1993, 16-year-old Christina Gagliardi disappeared during a family trip to Zion National Park. Her body was later discovered several days after her disappearance, but the investigation concluded that she might have died from exposure and dehydration. However, this case has raised questions about potential human involvement in Christina's disappearance. Several eyewitnesses reported seeing an unknown individual lurking around the area where Christina vanished. Section 8: The disappearance of Michael Soule, Shenandoah National Park. On September 11, 1979, 22-year-old Michael Soule disappeared during a solo hike in Shenandoah National Park. His body was later discovered several weeks after his disappearance, but the investigation concluded that he might have died from exposure and hypothermia. What's fascinating about this case is that another hiker reported seeing Michael arguing with an unknown individual earlier that day. This incident has led some investigators to speculate that Michael's death might be linked to a larger mystery involving human involvement in the park. Section 9: The disappearance of David Paulides, Mount Tamalpais State Park. On August 10, 2005, 44-year-old David Paulides disappeared during a solo hike on Mount Tamalpais. His body was later discovered several days after his disappearance, but the investigation concluded that he might have died from exposure and hypothermia. What's puzzling about this case is that several eyewitnesses reported seeing an unknown individual lurking around the area where David vanished. This new evidence has raised questions about potential human involvement in David's disappearance. Section 10: The disappearance of Stephen Bistrom, Death Valley National Park. On October 21, 1998, 37-year-old Stephen Bistrom disappeared during a solo hike in Death Valley National Park. His body was later discovered several weeks after his disappearance, but the investigation concluded that he might have died from exposure and dehydration. What's intriguing about this case is that another hiker reported seeing Stephen arguing with an unknown individual earlier that day. This incident has led some investigators to speculate that Stephen's death might be linked to a larger mystery involving human involvement in the park. Conclusion: As we conclude our journey through these 10 baffling disappearances, it becomes clear that many of these incidents share eerie similarities. In each case, there are questions about potential human involvement, disputed official narratives, and eyewitness accounts that paint a picture of an unknown force lurking beneath the surface. While some might argue that these disappearances can be explained by natural causes or isolated incidents, others believe that there's more to the story. As we continue to explore these mysteries, one thing is certain: America's national parks hold secrets and stories yet to be uncovered. The question remains: what really happened in these 10 cases? Was it an unknown force at work, or was it something else entirely? The truth may never be fully known, but one thing's for sure: these disappearances will continue to haunt us until we uncover the answers.